but they can't play ball. They can't play man. They have to play ball. Whatever. We know what they're trying to get to. We don't want them running in from 25 yards back of the goal and taking and pushing some kid out of the way. So they got to play ball. Hopefully it'll be a loose ball away. My refs all know we do not like trapped ground balls in youth play. So if it's down trapped for too long, we're going to try to get it up, get it in a stick, and get going in one or two directions. So that's where that one's coming from, small-sided play. The other one at 3-4, the goalie has to stay in the crease until there's possession. So the goalie can come out, but he can't come out until there's possession. Yeah, we're going to go with this one. We used to ask you for your in-home. Well, a third of us used to ask you for your in-home player. We'd be like, what's my in-home player? It used to be a starting attackman. We're now going to make it a starting defender. I don't want to get two numbers from people. I just want one, but I want a starting defender. The reason we want that is most of the games only have one. You have one goalie, or everybody's a goalie for a half a quarter, and they don't want to be it that day. But Johnny, you're the goalie. Very few teams have two goalies suited up. We're going running time. We don't want to waste time switching out and changing up a goalie. So, if your goalie picks up a releasable penalty, then we won't even ask. And we don't see Johnny 2 on the sideline waiting to go in as your second goalie. We're going to send off the kid we know. Okay, 18, you're the designated defender. You go serve the time. The goalie is still chalking up the minutes. He only gets 3 personals in 4 minutes, but he's chalking up his time. If it's a non-releasable penalty, and goalies get these on the funny passes across the middle, goalie serves his time. If you don't have a second goalie and can't get one in the certified time, you got to play with a goalie. So you got to have somebody else you can sacrifice. I mean, who's willing to play goalie in that position. But we used to ask. They wanted us to ask for an in-home and a certified defender. That's a pain in the butt. We're just going to want one number from you. It's going to be your in-home is a defender. That was the other rule. That was more of a Utah, because they wanted to, that's a Utah one.
Hold on. So, go ahead.
Yeah.
Are they going to be actually giving penalties in 3-4, or is it just sub out?
It's going to be sub out. It's still going to be sub out. Now, having said that, they can't body check. So if I got a kid who's targeting in a league that they can't body check, that kid's not coming back that day. We can still eject a player. I don't want to have to tell Johnny he's ejected, but I'll look at you and go, Coach, his day is done, right? Are we good with that? Somebody else had a question.
I was just looking for a little more clarification on the warding.
Yep.
So if kid's one-handed cradling and the other arm, does it just need to be down?
It's got to be still.
Stationary.
It's got to be stationary.
Stationary.
It can be like this.
Yeah.
It can be up too.
They just can't,
and that's not creating space as long as he's not pushing.
Yeah. And then there's the player comes in, defender gets the stick up under, the arm goes up. I got one coach screaming for a ward, and the reality is, dude, you're lucky we don't call the defender for a hold.
Because he's underneath it.
And one of those we're going to get to when we start our kind of officially part in a couple of minutes. Oh, this is target.
Yeah.
Slashing.
So these are just some things I wanted to just quickly review.
Okay.
Okay, again, we talked about targeting now. Slashing, again, this is something that I think is maybe not understood or whatever, but basically any contact with the cross with the person's body, anything other than the gloved hand or the stick, can be called a slash. Okay? So hitting any part of the body other than the gloved hand or the stick. Now, how many times have you seen in a game people getting hit some part of their body other than the gloved hand? Every game, right? It happens every game.
It's 1,000,006.
So, Brandon, how do you call it?
What we're calling advantage. First of all, we're not going to call it rush, especially not to the body. There's a reason kids wear equipment. The reason you're wearing the equipment is because you might get touched with a stick. The other part is you're going to have the kid who turns. As he had the stick here, he turns and he gets a tap on his hip. Now, if he gets whacked, now we're talking about more violent contact. That's going to be some push. The other part we're talking, so it's advantage, disadvantage. One-handed checks, that is easy to use. Those are right out. We've got that one fixed.
It talks about, so the very, very top, with deliberate viciousness, reckless abandon, regardless of whether the opponent's cross and body is struck.
What you will see, that's the one where the kid just swings and doesn't hit anything, and you still see us throw a flag, and the kid's like, they didn't hit him. And I'm like, that's why you're going to remain in the game. You're just spending a minute in the penalty box, or getting subbed out at 3-4.
There's cues you can see that the officials will look at as well. If I'm playing defense and my wrists break like this, okay? If I go here, bad things are going to happen. If I bring my stick up here, bad things are going to happen, okay? Keeping that stick in tight, as soon as I bring my stick back, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, we're playing U.S. lacrosse, and as we train up, especially these newer residents, some of us guys have been doing it a while. What we want to see, K2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not so much 5, 6, but K2, 3, 4, pokes and lifts. That's it. If we see the stick coming up from up here, coming down, it's the hardest thing for these little kids, because this kid over here is holding his stick up here. And they're like, hey, we get the move. Everybody bring it down. But if we see a check that starts from up here and comes down, downward checks are really supposed to be from the shoulders or below, certainly from the face or below. Kid has got his stick up here. We're gonna escort him out, tell you what it was, and you're gonna tell little Johnny to be poking or lifting. That's the younger age group rule. Not so much 7, 8. They can have their sticks up as long as they're under control and they know what they're doing.
We talked about cross check already, but again, just wanted to kind of cover some of these. If you have questions about them, go ahead to the next one. Don't break it though. Okay, good. Okay? Checks involving the head of the net. We kind of mentioned this, but anything that's going to be high up in this area, above the shoulders, neck, head, you're going to be severely penalized. And again, that's just dangerous play. Okay? It's youth lacrosse.
Now we used to call it that if it started low and went up, we were just going to give you it might have been a legal body check here, but it wasn't when it got up here. We were going to give you an illegal body check, maybe a minute. Our mechanic for that now is if it starts good, but it ends up here, it's 2 minutes non. It's 2 minutes full time. Any blow that starts at the head is a minimum 2 minutes. It could also be 3, even if it started low and went up. And then number 1, and on the illegal body check, number 1 right there, that's where we get offensive players. Because an offensive player in possession cannot body check a defender, because the defender's not in possession of the ball, and the ball's not loose, it's in the offensive player's hands.
But these are all in the appendix of the rule book, and I just wanted to point these out as something that you want to be aware of. Again, when we talk about the defenseless player, hitting the opponent from the rear below the waist, blindsiding a player with his head down, body checking who's turned away to receive a pass, right? Those are all those defenseless things, or just an excessive body check. An excessive body check is just unnecessary, it's late, again, it's just egregious, and so it's going to get called. And those are things that we're really trying to make sure that we're addressing this year. And so we're addressing you from a coaching standpoint, right? He's going to address the officials from an officiating standpoint. You need to coach the game properly. You need to make sure that your players understand the rules and are playing properly. Okay? I'm a believer that we as coaches have 10 times more impact on a game than the officials do. Yet we spend a lot of time blaming the officials. And I would say this whether or not he was here or not. Okay? We spend a lot of time blaming the officials for stuff that we have way more control over. Guess what kids want to do? They want to play, right? Guess who controls their playing time? You do, okay? We control a lot more than the officials do in terms of that, okay? Let's go to the next one here. Okay, so sportsmanship, again, something that is continual, point of emphasis, targeting we've talked about, legal holding with the cross we've talked about. But sportsmanship is something that, again, from whether it be officials hearing bad language or kids talking back to officials, those kids are going to get flagged way quicker, okay? It's our responsibility to make sure that we're making it a good experience for everybody that's on the field, okay? All right, next. Okay, we'll go through this really quick. We talked about most of this though. K-4, before V4, no goalies, 10-minute quarters, face-offs only on the start of the game, and then I guess at the start of the quarters. We're going to restart the ball at GLE, okay? The defensive team, though, has to get back to the midfield line. So what we found is, goalie would save it. Okay, you come over here, we're going to start. This defender would jump this kid right away, take the ball away and score, okay? So the defensive team's got to get back to the midfield line and let us, try to clear it halfway.
And the other one with K1, because this was apparently, it was supposed to get communicated to us on-field refs last year and did not. Everybody plays both ways.
Yep.
If the kid's slow, but he's trying to get up on attack, we get it. But if he's just standing there like, I'm a goalie in front of my crease, so I'm not in the crease, so I'm not really a goalie, no, we're going to call illegal procedure, and we're going to send the game in the other direction. I've told you all that, so we know it, and we're going to tell our referees that it wasn't in the rules last year, you've been told. It got more itchy between coaches about that than it did anything else. The idea is we want these kids playing both ways. If they're just slow, that's fine. But if he likes playing defense so much, we'll have you playing defense the whole game because every time he does it, we'll just turn the ball around and send it right back on defense. And your team's good, so they'll take the ball away and it'll just be this whole cycle. But the whole point is we don't want a designated defender just hanging out in front of the crease going, I don't like to run. Coach said I can stand here all day.
So in 2nd through 4, we go 7v7, which is a little different than US Lacrosse. US Lacrosse says 6v6. We go 7v7, so it's 2 and 2 and 2. Okay, with the goalie, 2 and 2 and 2.
Is it good on the 2 and 3 without a goalie? Is it going to be 2-2-2?
Yeah.
Okay. So 6 and 7 is going to be there. Okay.
And then 10-minute face-offs are standard, so we do those after goals. We won't do it 2nd, 3rd. I gotta fix this. So we'll fix this and resend it out. But 2nd, 3rd, I don't think we will because it's just technicals. But
And then we'll just go GLE and keep going. That's a good idea.
Offsides, we do have the 2 defensive guys that need to stay back with the goalie. And then, again, substitutions. We're recommending it dead balls. It's not something that we're going to penalize or whatever. It's just, it's a recommended way that we're going to do it.
Because what we will do is, if we do have a flag down situation, little Johnny slashed, and it's not, and that whole shift has just come on, we're going to send him over to you. He gets replaced. He can come back on in the next full shift. But that's where you get a chance to go and say, dude, you can't hit him in the head with your stick. We told you that before. But so we will have them sub out. That's where the strongly encouraged part comes in, because yes, we're sending one kid off, but we don't want you playing man down.
But again, our purpose from K4 is development, kids touching the ball, running up and down the field, lots of touches, lots of reps, lots of playing. Okay? All right, Tim?
Is that the 10 new rules?
10 new.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
When he's offside, when is it called? Because I had this problem last year.
Well, how do you mean?
for
Is
K,
it a delayed call and if you've got
It
a
depends.
person?
so
No,
what
it
age
depends
group
on
are
the
we
rule.
talking about?
If there are
It
not
depends on which
players,
team it is.
If-
If it is the team in possession, it's an immediate whistle, you blow it and turn it the other way.
so they can't
If
go
it's
back
the
and score.
defensive team, then we throw a flag and we wait until goody happens. Something happens that kills the slow whistle play.
But if
so
the
it-
team's outside, they can't go score and count that as well.
If they have the ball, that's correct.
Yep.
And so are the officials then instructed to call that? Because this last fall, it was suggested offside, just tell them.
No,
take it back.
We're going to tell our guys to call it,
The key
have
was,
patience with us.
US Lacrosse said no offsides.
But
And
we
your
added
form
a player.
said- Your form said, yeah, well, there's gonna be
Yeah.
offsides.
We added a player so there was offside, so that we keep the 2. We tried it at the very beginning where we had all 6 players playing offense. It was too crowded.
Yeah, I agree.
So we
especially on the smaller field.
Yeah, on the smaller field.
So we're going to call it. What I will say this, we're running 2-man games. These are not 3-man games. So the last thing I'm worried about in transition is offsides. In a 2-man game, the last thing I'm worried about, I can count to 6, believe it or not, I can. Actually 4 in that game. We can count to 4, but I want to make sure everything's settled down a little bit. Johnny's not whacking each other. Plays settle down. That's when we start counting. And if we count and realize they're offsides, we can always take the goal off and just give you the ball and go. So if you, and what I would tell coaches, we'll get to this in a response. It matters. Yep. And it matters. If you tell us once and we hear it, if I kind of go, okay, and I'm going to start counting, don't keep telling me. Then I forget and I look at you and then I keep looking and I look at you again. And now they're miraculously not offsides anymore. So tell us once, help us out. The other thing is you guys often count back. And I don't care if they have fewer guys back. I don't care how many are on the offense.
Yeah, that was a change a couple years ago. We only look forward, we don't look back. You could have nobody on your offensive end.
Same high school.
Yeah, same in high school. You don't have to play, just, you can't have more.
And Brandon makes a good point, it's helter-skelter sometimes, and so just realize that if something is said, we are looking for it, but we're also looking at some other things as well, and so everybody's just pounding on that offsides, and we kind of compartmentalize it, figure out everything, and then we'll call it. We will.
Yeah, we're going to go safety, fairness, fun, in that order. Safety is clearly the first thing. So if I've got a contested play with 3 kids all whacking each other, that's all I'm looking at, even if I'm the trail. And then once we get them settled down, then I'm going to go, hey, wait a second, they had another one come in and one not go off, they're offside, turn around and go the other way.
So this is Andy Boyce. Andy's one of our officials as well, and they're both here today because we're making some changes. Okay, so all this kind of is leading into now this last little part of what we're going to talk about today. We have, over the last couple of years, there's been an organization called the Utah Lacrosse Officials Association, and they have managed officials both from the high school on down. And we've contracted with them, and they've managed the officiating. With the onset of high school lacrosse becoming a UHSA sanctioned sport, that organization feels like it wants to spend a little bit more focus on creating that body for high school. So we're going to take over management of the youth officials. Okay? We think this is a good thing. We're excited about it, and we have some big plans over the next 3 to 5 years on what we're going to do with officials. In the short term, there's a couple things we're trying to do. We're trying to recruit more officials. Okay? We're trying to put some new training mechanisms in place, and that's probably what we're going to get this year. Okay? Because we're switching over to a different system. We've got a bunch of other things happening behind the scenes. In the coming years, you're going to see more evaluations, you're going to see coach reviews, you're going to see a lot of different things that are going to go into helping the officials be better and helping us as coaches be better as well, to have a more cooperative working environment with everybody. Here's the deal. Over between 2017 and 2018, in the United States, we lost 1,000 lacrosse officials. Okay? Now, this is not just a lacrosse issue. I mean, this is a youth sports issue, okay? But we're not a big enough sport to lose 1,000 officials and have that just be okay. It's not okay. And we can't play the game without the officials. Number one reason for officials leaving the game is what? It's obvious. Well, it's not just parents, but it's coaches is too, okay? It's basically abuse, right? Abuse that they're taking at the hands of coaches and parents, okay? We have to fix that. We're going to turn the tide on that in our league. That's our goal. We're going to do it by making sure that we have the best trained officials, the best communicating officials, and also the most knowledgeable and helpful coaches out there as well. So this is going to be a process. Okay, it's not going to be fixed tomorrow, and hopefully we see a little bit of improvement this year. But I can tell you, in the coming years, if we can pull off what we want to pull off, it will be significant, and the changes will be vast. Yes.
I would suggest more of this. Referee, officials with coaches, because it always felt like it was, 2 different groups.
Absolutely, we're going to see some more of that, yes. So let me just say a couple of things, and then we'll have these guys talk about a couple of things, and then we'll finish up. So you go to the next one there, Tim. A couple of things are going to happen, okay? We talked about pregame, okay? In high school and college, do a pregame certification where the officials meet with the coach beforehand, and they say, okay, coach, are all of your players equipped according to the rules? And you say yes or no or whatever, but everybody says yes because nobody knows. You don't know, so you say yes.
And then my lawyer says then we can play the game.
Yeah, that means they have proper helmets and mouthpieces and gloves and everything else, right? But it's also a time that you can then go and say, hey, okay, we're 5 and 6. Okay, this is my understanding of how this works or that. Or, it's an opportunity for you to communicate with these guys and ask questions and clarify whatever. Okay. We'll also do a lineup before the game. So if you've watched high school or college lacrosse, you line up before the game. Kids shake hands. The referees can address the teams with some, hey, we're really watching the targeting, make sure that it's slashing, whatever. Okay. And so the referees have now met with the coaches, some of the players. We won't do captains, okay, but that's one other thing in high school and college. They're talking to the captains. They also talk to the face-off guys. So in college and high school, there's all this kind of pre-game communication that happens that kind of helps us get off on the right foot. We haven't been doing that, so we're trying to make sure that we do that going forward with these guys in the pre-game, okay?
What I'm going to look for in the pregame, we will have time this year. You can bring a K2, 3, 4 game in an hour time slot, easy peasy. We got an hour and 15 minutes for 5, 6, 7, 8. That's plenty of time. That's how they're scheduling the game. What I'm hoping we can do is we'll grab head coaches 5 minutes before game time, right there in front of the table. hey coach, how are you? Good. All right, everybody's good. This is a 5th and 6-year-old game, so we're playing basically NFHS rules with no body checks. We're good with that. We've got full 10-on-10. We're doing 10-second counts. We're doing 20-second counts. Am I right? We're right. Okay, good.